Bill Burr.
Sadly, I saw these clips of ICE going in and just ripping these people out of their homes, and mothers and grandmothers and children screaming, no warrant. If fellow U.S. citizens are like, what are you doing? They like intimidate them, arrest them. And this is like Gestapo type of stuff. And it just blows my mind that there's a certain ugly segment of the American population that's enjoying watching these families getting ripped out of their homes. And you somehow think that America is going to be better if this is done. Like, so what? So they took those people out. They're taking these brown people out that are living week to week. And somehow you feel like if they get them out of the country, your boss who's not paying you a living wage will suddenly start paying you a living wage.
He has seen what has transpired.
So turn around.
Okay, let's not. Okay, he's not resisting. He's giving me his phone, okay? He's not, I understand, he's not resisting. Like, yeah, they just like handcuffed him and took him. I don't know what to do.
ICE abducted Mahmoud Khalil.
It's also important to stay aware of what is happening out in our country where we are seeing the Trump administration almost every week snatch people right off the streets for political speech. The latest, most chilling example happened yesterday outside Boston when a PhD student and Fulbright scholar at Tufts University in this country on a student visa from Turkey, totally legal, obviously, was taken off a residential street in Somerville, Massachusetts. Rumeysa Ozturk had just left her apartment when she's approached by a guy in a dark hoodie and hat who then grabs her hands. You can see and hear how upset and scared she is as an officer finally pulls out a badge and appears to identify himself as law enforcement. She is quickly surrounded by half a dozen, I guess, cops, all in street clothes, covering their faces with masks. They take her cell phone. They physically remove her backpack. She is then handcuffed as a bystander films and asks how anyone is supposed to know these people are police.
They abducted Rumeysa Ozturk. A judge ordered the Trump admin to keep her in the state. They did not. And after 6 weeks, she finally returned to Massachusetts. They abducted Hilmar Abrego Garcia. A federal judge ordered him to be returned. The Trump administration has not done so. 3 United States citizens, including one with stage 4 cancer, were deported and abducted from their homes. This is going to keep happening over and over and over again because this is what this administration is built on.
What would be a great thing is everybody read up on the history of these that have run these companies. They have not wanted to pay Americans a living wage ever. They've never wanted to pay us a living wage. And the only reason why they do is because there's laws. And the only reason why there is laws is because people died during protests to start unions. And these psychos that run these companies didn't want to pay a living wage, and eventually they took their factories out of the country so they could go back to not paying a living wage in the form of sweatshop labor. And now they're eventually working their way towards this.
Speaking of the ultra wealthy, take a gander at who is joining Donald Trump on his trip to the Middle East. These are the oligarchs, everyone. They run the country. They hoard resources and stole the wealth from the American public. What do they get in return? BlackRock, Citigroup, Boeing, Amazon, OpenAI, Tesla, SpaceX, Palantir, Halliburton, Uber, Coca-Cola, and more will probably potentially get rewarded with a Kushner-like deal on their trip. Burr brings it together on the topics of class warfare and the link to the top 1%.
The same billionaires that didn't want to pay in the 1800s, way back to the feudal system, they've never wanted to pay you. They don't want to pay you, and they just keep blaming people that don't look like you, that don't have any money or any sort of control over your life, and my people keep believing it. It's unbelievable. Immigrants are not the reason why you can't make your rent. You can't make your rent because the guy that employs you is not paying you enough money. He's not keeping up, or she's not keeping up with the rate of inflation. The sad thing is there's enough money, there's enough food, there's enough shelter for everybody. but these super rich want too much for themselves.
Amen to that. But to understand just how dire of a situation we are currently in, published in February of 2025 via Rand Corporation's Carter C. Price, a study was brought to the forefront by independent Senator Bernie Sanders, showcasing the following finding. Nearly $80 trillion in wealth in the United States has been redistributed from the bottom 90% of Americans to the top 1% over the past 50 years. That number represents the cumulative cost of lost wages to workers below the 90th percentile due to rising inequality from 1975 through 2023. Average real income in the top 1% grew by 321.6% from 1975 through 2018. That is nearly 3 times the 118% growth of real per capita GDP over the exact same period. Writes Alexandra Jacobo from Nation of Change. Had earnings growth remained more equitably distributed as it was in the mid-20th century, the majority of workers would have collectively earned nearly $4 trillion more in 2023 alone. But as Burr outlines, this was all put on the back burner by the ultra-wealthy using decades-old tactics.
And they're heartless. They don't give a And when you start to tell them, hey, you're not paying us enough money, they go, oh, look at those brown people over there. If we could just get them to stop jumping over a wall or get them out of their houses, if we could tear apart their families without a warrant, then I would somehow magically start paying you enough money where you could live comfortably and have health insurance. Unreal. And I got to tell you, these people that are just watching this stuff, and you don't think that eventually, if you just co-sign on an agency being able to do that, just barge into somebody's house like that, just start lining people up, asking questions, no warrants, just total intimidation, right? If you're signing off on that, you have to understand, do you really think that that's just going to stop there? Let's say they got all the illegal immigrants out of this country. That work still has to be done. So now who's doing that work? And what is the rich guy doing? Do you think he's going to pay American citizen wages? Is he going to let one nickel roll out of his pocket? Has that been your experience watching these super rich people? Just out of curiosity.
So, with that being said, until there is class consciousness, until there is class unity, until we realize that the fight is not amongst the working class, it is not by any stretch of the imagination amongst ourselves, and it is those above us. It is those that is hoarding the wealth. It is those that are profiting and stealing wages from us. We will continue having this inequality, and unfortunately, a lot of people keep signing up for it.
This is Ted Cruz calling. I was calling to encourage you to come out and vote on Election Day. This election is critical for the direction of our country, and I urge you to come out and support freedom and the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. You can vote by absentee ballot, and if you need help getting an application for an absentee ballot, the Republican Party of Texas can help you with that. Or you can vote in person. But I just wanted to encourage you to come out and vote. Thank you, and God bless you.
This is the face of a man who stands for nothing and believes in nothing other than advancing his career to further enrich himself at the expense of the people he's supposed to represent. One of the most pathetic and shameless slimeballs currently in office, Rafael Ted Cruz, is a national embarrassment, and sports fans tend to agree, especially baseball fans.
go vote! Go vote, Trump! Get the out of New York! Get out of New York! Trump called your wife ugly and you loved it! You ugly! Get the out of here! Eat my ass!
Cruz got the welcome he deserved from Yankees fans while he was cheering on the Houston Astros during the 2022 ALCS, berating the Trump bootlicker for having the audacity to show his face in public after playing a key role in the January 6th insurrection attempt and abandoning his constituents while some were literally freezing to death to go to a country he constantly attacks and demonizes. Even the Astros faithful refuse to adopt him as a fan. If this is the reaction you're generating from your constituents during what is normally a day filled with nothing but celebration and coming together as a community, then you really should do some self-reflection and self-improvement. But this is Ted Cruz we're talking about, so he's going to learn nothing from all of this and continue to be just as out of touch as ever. Cruz recently posted his view of a grand slam as the Astros routed the Angels 14-3 the other night while at the game with one of his daughters, accompanied by this laughably out-of-touch caption claiming that beers only cost $6 and hot dogs only $5. While Cruz is admittedly only off by a couple of dollars for each item based on data from 2024 prices, the fact that he had no problem saying this while sitting in the exclusive Diamond Club behind home plate is insulting and embarrassing. Just to hammer that point home further, in addition to sitting in luxury chairs behind home plate, the Diamond Club, of course, caters to the wealthy and offers gourmet food and snacks, alcohol, wait service at your seat, and other amenities included with the ticket price, which isn't even publicized on the team's website or other third-party ticket retailers and resellers. So judging by this ticket price from the section just behind Cruz's seats, it's reasonable to speculate that his Diamond Club tickets are pushing $1,000 a piece, if not more, depending on other add-ons and ticket packages. If you're able to spend that much to go to the game in the first place, a $20 beer, let alone a $5 beer, like what Cruz said in his tweet, would be of little concern to you. But Cruz this weekend of sports didn't end with the Astros game, as he also joined Donald Trump and the rest of his fascist collaborators like RFK Jr., Elon Musk, Kash Patel, Joe Rogan, Dana White, and Rep. Byron Donalds, just to name a few. Hey guys, quick break in the action. I have a new show coming out called The Rick Strom Show. It is going to be awesome. I'm interviewing musicians, athletes, producers, writers, journalists, authors, sports doctors. Go check it out at youtube.com/@TheRickStromShow. Also be sure to throw me a follow on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky. It can all be found in the description box below. Thank you. Cruz sauntered in behind Musk and his son, who should 100% have had noise-canceling headphones on to protect him from hearing loss and future damage, but we all know fatherhood is not Elon's strong suit, nor is it something he cares about in the slightest. While Ted Cruz is expected to always disappoint us, we didn't expect to see Shaq bend the knee and have a friendly exchange with Donald Trump. While Shaq's defenders will say that he's just being polite, or that you should always show respect to the president regardless of political differences, we would say that a lifelong racist who's hellbent on eroding all of our First Amendment rights, taking even more power away from the people and consolidating that power within the billionaire ruling class, is not someone worthy of being respected. If you can and are willing, please become a paid member here at TYT Sports. and or go to tyt.com/join. In addition, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
The budget I'm presenting today supports these goals and reflects.
The witness will suspend. The committee will come to order. Capitol Police are asked to remove the individuals from the hearing room. Members of the audience are reminded disruptions will not be tolerated. Members of the audience are reminded disruptions will not be permitted while the committee conducts its business. Capitol Police are asked to remove the individuals from the hearing room.
While Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was testifying before the Senate Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee.
Move down the hallway.
Ben, why are you getting arrested?
Move down the hallway. If you stop, you will be arrested.
Poor kids in Gaza by buying bombs and pays for it by kicking kids off Medicaid in the U.S.
Keep going down. Keep going down the hallway.
Ben, how many days have they been starving in Gaza?
What has it been? 75 days by now. Stop.
Anthony, I need my shoe.
Our program.
Now we're down in the hall right now. Let's go. Everybody. I'm saying, everybody. Stop business. Pick it up. Stop business. Pick it up.
Ben, what are you calling for the Congress and senators to do for Gaza?
Congress and the senators need to ease the siege. They need to let food into Gaza. They need to let food to starving kids.
What did you say in there, man?
I said that Congress is paying to bomb poor kids in Gaza and paying for it by kicking poor kids off Medicaid in the U.S.
Don't let them any closer. Back up.
A notable protester made his voice heard.
We are expected to be good Americans and look the other way as Israel prevents food, water, and medicine from reaching the remaining people of Gaza. Israel is literally starving them to death. Starving them to death. We will not look away. We will not be silenced. We will do everything we can to get our government to stop being complicit in starving little kids to death.
That is Ben Cohen, the co-founder of Ben & Jerry's. As Brian Allen tweeted, "This is where we are. Speak out against fascism wrapped in independent branding, and you get hauled out of Congress." To understand Ben Cohen's politics, look no further than his political activism. He was previously arrested in 2018 for disorderly conduct amidst his protest of F-35 fighter jets being based in Vermont. Speaking of the state, he supported Bernie Sanders' campaign in 2016 and 2020. In the year 2023, he conducted another protest, this time outside the offices of DHS, where he took part in blocking an entrance to the DOJ to bring awareness of Julian Assange's detainment. Now, the company also partook in political activism when they pulled their products in the West Bank. That came in 2021.
I grew up thinking that America stood for justice and equality and fairness, and that, it was defending human rights. And what's happening now, what we're seeing exposed in Israel in supporting that genocide, is that the U.S. is trampling human rights. We're deliberately killing people. It's not a war, it's a slaughter. And I don't think there's much difference between somebody getting killed by a bomb or getting killed by being thrown in a gas chamber. This is ethnic cleansing, and it makes me as an American feel horrible. We talk about what does America stand for? What can you say? You can't say it stands for justice and peace and human rights. You gotta say it stands for ethnic cleansing. It stands for slaughtering innocent people. That hurts.
For some backstory on the protesters and why they were yelling at HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., take a look. At least 87 different groups, including the International Association of Providers of AIDS Care, oppose Robert F. Kennedy being appointed to lead the country's health agency, which is facing significant cuts under the Trump administration, wrote USA Today. Robert F. Kennedy, known for taking controversial stances on vaccines, has also been criticized by healthcare advocates for raising questions about the well-established science that AIDS is caused by a virus known as HIV.
Yes, I understand what you're talking about with Medicaid. We'll see what they do. It does seem that the Republicans are a little unusually cautious about the pain that they will feel if they mess with Medicaid, especially when they're adding to the defense budget. But Israel, yes, what's happening in Gaza is horrible. They just agreed to restart the aid, and I've been critical of the stopping of aid and how necessary it is. But don't you have to give some space for the fact that Hamas, a terror organization, is still holding 6 people just about, and that they need to give them back if they want to have high ground, don't they?
Yes, the hostages need to be returned, but that's no justification to kill tens of thousands of children, old people, mothers, fathers, people just like us.
But don't you believe that genocide, obviously there's a legal standard, but do you target things? Do you avoid things? Do you pace things? Do you allow any aid the way Israel has if it's really a genocide? We've seen what that looks like in other situations. It doesn't look like this.
Boy, it sure looks like it to me. I mean, let me think. All the hospitals have been destroyed. All the universities have been destroyed. The schools have been destroyed. The housing has been destroyed. And tens of thousands of people have been killed. And you can't tell me that they're all members of Hamas.
I think what's most troubling is that we see where our tax dollars are going. And just having the gall to call this out is viewed as a negative, is viewed as a bad thing. The way that they manhandled those protesters, the way that they treated Ben Cohen, who is in his 70s, I want to say. Let's confirm, 74, was atrocious. But what's even more atrocious is that it feels like it's a math problem. If you take away money for healthcare and you then are able to allocate that money to other places, who do you think is getting rich? Who do you think is benefiting from these cuts? It's not you. It's not me. It's not the American public. It is, to name a few, as we covered yesterday, some of those billionaires who accompanied Donald Trump on his trip to the Middle East. It is a way to cut and then funnel. What's most troubling of all is how many people are just okay with it. And they bend the knee to the top 1%, when really you are closer to being homeless than you are to Alex Karp and Elon Musk.